If you have a rental dispute, you need to know exactly where to go and what to do about it.
In this episode, we're talking about the Rental Dispute Settlement Centre in Dubai and how they're going to have an impact on your case, whether you are a landlord or a tenant.
So stay tuned, enjoy the show. Hey everyone, and welcome to Dubai Property Legal Guide, a series of videos I'm making answering the most common questions I'm receiving from property owners, tenants, and landlords, as well as property brokers. In this episode, joining me, Michael from my social media team. How are you doing, Michael?
I'm doing good, thanks. I'm very happy to be back.
Great to hear that.
We've got a really interesting topic today. It's come up a couple of times in previous episodes.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about the procedures of filing a case before the Rental Dispute Settlement Centre in Dubai. Are you ready?
I was born ready, Michael.
Excellent. Well, let's get straight into it. I'm going to bring up here the law that we're talking about in question. So the relationship between tenants and landlords in Dubai is regulated by Law Number 33 of 2008. The Rental Dispute Settlement Centre was established by Decree Number 26 of 2013 and has been operational since 17th of November 2013. Now,
That's right.
let's start with the entity itself. What is the Rental Dispute Settlement Centre and what do they do?
In short, we call it RDC. And it's actually RDSC, but this is a common thing. We always say RDC and it refers to Rental Dispute Settlement Center. So when a landlord and tenant have a dispute and they cannot solve it amicably, that's where either party can go to RDC and file their case against the other party.
Okay, so what kind of disputes are we looking at here?
RDC is basically authorized to handle all kind of tenancy contracts in the Emirate of Dubai. There are some exceptions. I have all the exceptions here. Rental disputes that are arising within a free zone that they have their own sets of judicial system and they have their committees or courts like Dubai International Financial Center, the IFC. Those rental disputes cannot be handled by RDC. Second is rental disputes arising from financial lease agreements. And third, disputes arising from long-term lease agreements. Aside from these three, the rest of the rental disputes in the Emirates of Dubai can be basically handled by RDC.
Okay, so for those ones that the RDC can handle, let's say that I'm having a dispute with my landlord,
Yeah.
I'm not happy with something. Where do I
Call
go?
me,
Who do I
call me.
speak to?
Just call me.
I will call you.
Yeah.
I'll call you first, and then where do I go?
Okay. Before answering this question, let me explain to you about the structure of RDC itself. RDC is consisted of four different departments. Department number one is called Conciliation Department. Department number two is First Instance Department. Number three, Appeal Department. And number four, Execution Department. So I'm gonna run through this step by step so that it will make
All
it
right.
much more clear. Step number one is that, of course, if a landlord and tenant they fail to reach an amicable understanding, then they will come and they want to lodge their complaint. First department that they will be involved is the conciliation department. Conciliation department basically is a department that they will try their best to solve this issue amicably, although they are involved now, but they will try to fix it and resolve it. They will give 15 days in order to reach a sort of settlement. If they reach a settlement, they will put all their terms and conditions in writing and submit it to the department, and then they will move on. However, if they don't reach a settlement, then they will go to step two. Step two is first instance department. At first instance department, what we're gonna have over there? Basically, in first instance department, the whole department itself is consisted of three members. Number one is a judge. Number two and number three, there are two members. One has a legal background. The second one has a real estate background. These three members will be taking care of this dispute. What is very important to know, and it's quite shocking to some people, all the proceedings and pleadings will be only in Arabic, not in English.
Right.
Yes. So everything has to be in Arabic.
So in that case, if I've got contracts, documents, and anything that's listed in English or another language for that matter, I'm assuming this has to be officially translated, right?
Yes, legally translated and then only submitted to the department. Otherwise, anything in English will not be acceptable because the official language which they will consider is Arabic language.
Of course.
So that's why we send all the documents prior to the proceeding. We submit to legal translation, get it done, and then we're gonna submit it. So when all documentations are ready, they file their claim, and then after that they need to notify the other party. So if the tenant is filing, they're gonna notify the landlord that there is a case, and vice versa. When both parties attend or their legal representatives, there will be sets of hearings where each party will submit their pleadings, their defense. They will come and talk, and it's not there is no actually an actual conversation. It's all submitting pleadings and memos, and then after this, we have two scenarios: simple cases, complicated cases. Simple cases, the judge will look into it and issue his judgment. Complicated cases, the judge feels that there is a need of appointing an expert. So if they appoint an expert is a third party, they will come interfere in this matter. They will evaluate and examine the documentation. Perhaps they need to sit with both parties to hear from their side of a story, and then based on that, they will prepare a report. This report will be submitted to the court and to the RDC, and then RDC, based on that, the judge will issue its judgment.
Is that judgment final? Is that the end of the kind of decision making?
No, it's not. It's not at this point. It's not final. The party who has lost the case will have the right to file an appeal within 15 days of issuance of the judgment.
It would seem pretty obvious then that kind of anyone who loses that judgment, that pretty much anyone would go for the appeal, right?
No, it won't be possible for anyone just like that the moment that they lose the case to file an appeal, because the law is very clear on this. There are certain exceptions, and basically, not, I can put it this way, not all kind of judgments will be appealable. I have the exceptions here. Let me just read them for you because there are plenty of them. First of all, the claim amount or the annual rent should be more than 100,000 dirhams, then only you can appeal it. If it's less than 100,000 and has one of these terms or conditions, still is going to be possible to appeal. The condition number one is that the eviction judgment is issued. The judge ordered eviction. In that case, this is possible to appeal it. Number two, if the judgment that is issued is in violation of the jurisdiction. So if I want to object on the jurisdiction of the court, still I can go for the appeal. If the judgment which is issued is something which was not requested by the parties, so it's irrelevant to my claim, so then I get the chance to go and appeal it. This is also another important one. If the judgment that is issued is against a person who has not been correctly represented in action or service was not effective, this also gives me the chance to appeal it. If his judgment is based on papers or documents which were declared to be forged, and then judgment was issued based on that, this also gives me the room to appeal. If a party to the lease conceals data or documents from the first instance department that may have changed the original decision, this comes into light after that the judgment is issued, and we find out that this is a very crucial piece of evidence that can basically change the judgment, and we can use that to file the appeal.
Okay, and so those are the exceptions. So the exceptions then obviously when that's allowed. So let's say that the appeals go through. What's the process of the appeal department?
The appeal is again consisted of 3 members. Member number 1 is a judge, experienced judge. The second member is, and second and third again, there are a person with a legal background and a person with a real estate background. The person with the legal background is again another judge, and the person with the with the real estate background is a person who has many years of experience, will be much more experienced than the person in the court of first instance. You have a deadline of 15 days from the day that the tenant is notified with the judgment to go, and it could be the tenant or the landlord in any case. So from the day that they are notified, 15 days they have time to request for appeal. Within that time frame, they have to file their appeal. That's the procedure of the court.
And once that kind of comes to the end, it's gone through the appeal process, the
Yeah.
judge has made his decision, that's when it's all over, surely? That decision is final when that judge says that?
The decision is final. However, in order to get your right, you still need to go and request the execution. This is where the fourth department comes in the picture. The execution department is where the judgment needs to be executed in action. So I got a judgment in my favor. I will be the person who will request the execution, and then the execution department will basically handle that matter.
And this also, it's seeming like 15 days is a trend here. Is this also fixing within that 15 days that it has to be done within?
The execution, no. The appeal has a time frame of 15 days. So for me, the faster I request an execution, the faster I will get a result.
Well, that makes a lot of sense then as well. So that's all 4 steps and all of the exceptions
That's
and
it.
everything included. And that's kind of the entire process with the IDC.
That's it. Yeah, that's a procedure that they need to be aware of before even starting. Because I'll be very honest with you, people when they look at this procedure from the beginning and they are explained to and how it works, sometimes they are even discouraged from the beginning to file a case. However, even if they decide to proceed, at least they know what's coming ahead of them, and they are totally prepared for it.
And I'm sure that has cleared it up for everyone. That's all that we have time for today. For people who do have more questions, I'm sure that this will bring some up. How can they get in touch with you?
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for watching. The way that you can get in touch with me, of course, is as usual. You can send me your questions to my email, arash@zollo.com, or you can check out my other social media platforms. Send me a direct message right over there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm going to see you on the next episode.